Episode 2 of the road to a 500k club. And guess what, guys? We are in. We literally got the keys last Thursday, so a week ago. Within 24 hours, we had this all set up because we have been planning for some time, and we are super cool. So I came back to main club because I felt like sitting in the air conditioning. Yeah, guys, so this is episode 2. We're really pumped that the new club is open. And so what I'm going to do is I've broken down this episode into 4 parts to make it easier for people to break it up. So the first part is going to be the preparation, everything we did to get to this point. The second part is going to be the setup, like what we actually did, getting the club ready. I'm going to go into a little bit about getting a lease and the kind of stuff that you need to do, and obviously talking about what's next, and going from there. All right, so let's jump into it. All right, the preparation, part 1, the preparation. Really important to think about this from the ground up. I come from a construction family. I'm not sure if I said that, but essentially, like every project, when you're building a house, you got to think about it. Like the club is a house that you're building, and you want people to feel comfortable in that space. So what we do is I thought about the space from the ground up. So realistically, walking into the space, when you find a venue that you want to open up the club and you know that you want to do this is in a good place, we're in a green fields, it's pretty good. When we get the word of mouth out there, it's going to go really well. But the space, so walking in, big open place, how do we want people to interact? And look, when people come into the main club here, you know, there's a really specific interaction that they get with the colors and the feel and what the words are and how they interact with the space. When we go into our space, it fell apart on the first day. I had to move some furniture to stop people from walking onto the mats with their shoes on. I don't know why people thought you could do that, but anyway. And, you know, in that space, how do we want them to interact? And then that will dictate how much of the space you're going to be using for training, because you don't necessarily want to have the training space taking up the entire floor, because yes, it can do that, but then you have to have space for, you know, other things, relaxation of parents, people changing their shoes, coming and talking to you at the desk and things. During that preparation process, we decided what sort of size mats that we wanted, where those mats were going to sit within the space, where we were going to have our reception area, a plan A versus a plan B when we have more money to do the works to it, like putting in more lights, putting in a different reception area, putting walls around the mats to make it a little bit more of a training space. But then again, it'll eat into some of the light that's there, another consideration. Then we went through the process of going, okay, we need X number of mats along the walls, on the floor. I think ours was about 150. Then we went through and we looked at all of the stuff, the 3 different levels of stuff that you need. What are people going to experience? What are people going to use? And what are you going to need? Things that you're going to sell. So for us, it was mats, it was kick shields, it was stand-up kicking equipment, it was hanging boxing bags, clapping paddles, things like that we could poach from this club or buy new ones. And we went to suppliers, including the uniforms, and I was, you know, bulk buying uniforms and hand pressing them ourselves and getting it all ready and negotiating with the suppliers, getting a couple of suppliers and giving them the list of everything that you'd like from them from their website and giving them an opportunity to quote on them, and then going to the supplier that offered the best price. We literally saved 13% during that process, getting it down from, you know, 16.5 grand to it was something under 15,000 for all of the equipment, including freight. You know, the whole process of getting that all together, preparing it all, thinking about what are you going to need at the desk, you know, forms that you're going to have ready for everybody going, uniforms ready to sell for trials, you know, an FPOS terminal, you know, that you're going to use for payments and everything imaginable, like using that mental map to build your club again, writing lists and doing it all together and putting it all together with the budget. How much do you need for the lease? How much do you need for the first month's rent? How much, you know, rent-free period you're going to get? How much, you know, all this stuff, preparing it out, planning it out. It is the most important thing. I mean, the 5 Ps is that proper planning prevents piss poor performance. It's really, really important. And that particular preparation process, it took me about 6 weeks, you know, putting it all together, making it all ready in my mind, as much as having it written down, and probably a little bit too much in my mind, as my business partner would probably she said to me, but you know, having it all there so that you know that this equipment goes in, this is going to go here, that's going to go there, like this is how it's going to work out, that's the connection we're going to use, that's where the power comes in, all these different things. having the plan, doing the preparation is way more important than the actual fit out, because I'm going to do the setup in a minute, like the fit out that we did, and that literally took like 2 days. Anyway, so preparation, if you literally wanted to go through the preparation and talk me through it, I could do an hour-long video just on planning. But again, this is just a episodal video that I'm putting together of my program to working towards the $500,000 club out there. Anyway, let's go into part two, the setup. I think this is probably the most stressful part of it, only because I had a lawyer make a mistake on something, and then the bank was 3 days late for something, and I had done everything that I needed to do. But literally, it doesn't feel right until you've got the keys in your hand. You know, like until you've got those magical keys in your hand, you know that it's yours, and that, you know, the next day you're going to set things up. So the setup for us was magic. I really have to pay dividends to my business partner, to one of my key personnel here at the club, because everybody took on a role in that. So I focused on the fit out and the setup. Another colleague, one of my staff members, focused on getting all the equipment from our main club that we had stacked up and stored ready to go. And my business partner focused more on the other equipment and things like that we needed to pick up that we hadn't purchased in advance, because we were, you know, didn't need it till the last minute. It went really, really well, like clockwork, because, you know, we had to paint, seal the concrete to make sure that, you know, it's usable, getting all of the equipment in, ready to actually do the setup the next day. So we broke it down into 2 days, and I'm not joking. We walked in there at 8:30 on the Friday, and by 2 p.m. I was teaching classes on the Saturday. So that's how well everything went. It's probably as well as it went when we came here. We moved here in 1 day and set up the next day as well. I think it's something we really are grateful that we were able to ask a handful of members to come and give us a hand to unload cars, unload utes, trailers, and things like that. And it went really well. So on the Friday, basically what we did was we got all of the equipment into where the mats are going to be, where the training area is going to be. And you saw the video earlier. Once we had everything there, the next focus was getting all the painting done, getting it all prepared and ready for, you know, because we have our very vibrant colors. We love our blues and our greens and our oranges and things like that. It's really, really important. I'm getting messages over the top while I'm doing this. You know, we got all the equipment in there and we started focusing on painting. I had to seal all the concrete, so I had to make sure that the mats and everything were on a space that didn't need to be painted. Painting the bathrooms orange and blue, getting everything ready to go. The next day, I managed to get a handful of volunteers to come along, and we set up all of the mats. If you see some of my casual videos on my Facebook page, I didn't realize it was going to take 4 of us 45 minutes just to remove the edges off the mats and get the mats ready for setup. But setting up all the mats, putting all the cubes together, all the desks together, ready to go, and a couple of us were quickly doing the second coat of paint on all the paint that needed to be done. I double sealed the concrete the day before. I was there till about 7 o'clock at night, and then luckily there's a lovely bar next to where we're going to be, and my wife met me afterwards for a cocktail. Right, the actual setup itself, you know, really thinking about it, making sure that you have a plan in your mind, because what wastes a lot of time is if you don't do that preparation. And I think we got really, really lucky in terms of the preparation, because I've thought about it a lot. Again, having a 7th month delay because of the previous owner, and the court stuff, the family stuff, blah, blah, blah. It really gave me an opportunity to really think heavy and think hard about how we were going to deliver this. Again, preparation's really, really, really important. Anyway, so the setup, mats went in, paint went on sealed the concrete, paint went on the bathrooms. Next day, we set up all the mats, got all the rubbish out of there, did the second coat of the paint, set up the cubes, vacuumed the space. I went home and had a shower. I came back, watched something on my phone, and then I taught a 2.5-hour seminar. So it's really, really important that that setup went really, really well, and people absolutely adored it, and I'm really, really stoked about that. Anyway, let's get into the next part. Cool, so part 3, I'm gonna go through the history of the lease, of what a lease. So if you've never signed a lease before, there are a handful of things that you need to have in advance. All right, so First of all, have a really good lawyer and have a lawyer that understands how you like to be communicated with. My lawyer knows text messages and emails are perfect. Some lawyers like to talk about it, whatever it is. You just find someone who works at your level. Second of all, have a really, really clear idea of what you're going to agree to and what you're not going to agree to. Now, this is my opinion, not advice. It's my opinion based on my own experience. This is probably my 5th lease that I've signed in the last 20 years working in this business and other businesses. I never sign a personal guarantee. Now, I don't need to say this strong enough. Landlords want you to sign a personal guarantee, but if you've got a proprietary limited business and you provide them a bank guarantee, don't give them a bond because there's no interest paid on that. They just take your money. They can do whatever they like with it. Commercial leasing is very different to renting a house. Provide a bank guarantee, right? That is money in your bank that the bank secures against, that you earn interest on. So I'm earning like 4.5% interest on an account that they charge me, I think it's 3% per year in fees. So you can see there's a difference there. The money that we're making from interest pays the fees on the bank guarantee. You can do this. You do not need to sign a personal guarantee, and push back on some things. Push and push and push and push on the lease items that you disagree with, and make sure, that's a scam call anyway, and make sure that you, wherever possible, get terms that are more favorable to you. So wording things like, we had one in there that was like, any noise complaint, we could be removed from the property and pay rent for the rest of the lease and have no right. No. Sorry. It had to be negotiated with the owner. It had to be a formal complaint through the police. Thank you very much. We're a martial arts school. People are going to be shouting and screaming and things like that. Music's going to be playing. When you go through the negotiation process, the first thing that they'll do is have an agreement, masthead agreement or term sheet agreement. There's different terms for it where you go. Really make sure that you stipulate exactly what your expectations are. Who's going to be the leasee? The location, make sure it matches it. That there will be a sublease if it's part of a main building. That there's things in there, that the terms that you agree to, the rent-free period, how much the increases are going to be over time, what the actual rent is going to be, when you're physically going to start paying rent. It's really important that you have all of that stuff laid out and agreed in that masthead agreement, and make them stick to it, because the lawyers will, sorry, we made a mistake in our favor a lot of time. Do not, if you do not feel comfortable with that lease, if there's some really egregious terms in that lease, push back. Don't be afraid. Spend the extra $1,000, $2,000 with your lawyers negotiating. I swear all they do is bloody write emails anyway. They charge you thousands of dollars. But it's really, really important that you keep track of that. Before you physically get the lease, you will need to have, it'll be like a company building insurance. It won't be, it's like your home and contents insurance sort of thing. It's contents insurance. You know, if they've got plate glass requirements and things like that. You'll also need to have, you'll have a certificate of currency, so it has to be like actually done. And you need to have your public, professional, and civil liability insurance. You know, you've got to have all these things set up, ready to go. If you ever walk into a club and they don't have it, I've got part of my professional liability and public liability insurance is actually a injury protection policy. So, you know, if anything really happens, we've got a policy that we got a insurance company that we can tap into. Have all of those things set up, ready to go. Bank guarantee, lease agreed, certificate of currency for both your insurance policies. Everything's ready to go. Get in there. Have a plan. Really, really important. I have a 4-month plan to get to the point where we can afford rent. I know how many dollars that is per week. I know how many kids and how many adults that means that I need to achieve. Working back from that, I know exactly how many trials I need to get through the club in the next 4 months to convert those to members. But I also know that I've got 4 months to build up that next month's rent. And then, so you've got to think about the planning that you've got for the lease and stuff like that. And don't be shy and talking to your landlord. Like this landlord here is fantastic. Any issues with the rent, never a problem. The landlord over there in the new place, tight as a fish's bum, and it's going to be a fight. But anyway, let's keep going. Last part. All right, so what is next for the club? Really exciting. This is my favorite part of the video that I'm talking about today. So basically, in the week ahead, thank God we've got a long weekend. So we've got Monday off, which is great. We're we're really leaning into, we've got radio ads going, we've got Facebook ads going. I'm testing different Facebook ads. We've signed up 10 kids trials this week, and 8 of them are walk-ins. So 8 of them are actually people who heard from another kid who was going there. I think out of all the classes this week, we've only had one that had no kids in it. The rest had a minimum of 2 classes with 1 kid in it, and the rest had between 5 and 10 kids. It was absolutely fantastic. Really leaning into the beginner program. So what we're focusing on at the moment is our, is this the right one? That's the kid one. So we've got programs. That works, yeah, so totally. We've got a kids 3-week program. They come in $59 for a 3-week trial, gets them a uniform, and also as a foundation member, they're gonna get 10% off membership. And also we're doing an adult BJ Day program, and also we're doing a Korean sword beginner program. So we're really leaning into those programs, getting people in with defined actual start date. So none of this vague, come in anytime you want. You got to give people a start date, but also it gives us the respect to know that we've got people who know that they have to start by the 16th of March if they want to do the sword class. The BJ Day one started on Monday. I've got 6 people in that. So it's like building up as you go into it. Over the weeks ahead, we're really going to be looking into how do we fill up those other kids' classes. So going out and speaking to the schools. I know that the school that's right next to us, it's across the street. We've already got 8, 10 kids from that. I've got 2 from my son's school already, which is another 1.5 kilometers down the other way. It's a big high school and primary school, and really going out and speaking to them about doing some programs and offering to do some sports days or whatever it is to get interest from the kids. And our main focus, because where we are is we're week 7 week 7's next week of term, of 11-week term, really focusing on a really big open day for when the kids get back to school after Anzac Day next. So it'd be the first week of May. Really focusing on that to get those numbers that we need to going in that. So watch this space. I'm going to do it. This is the big one today. I'm going to do an update next week. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter, episode 3. I'm going to talk about the different campaigns that we've been running. I might even do a little bit of a screen grab of what we've been doing on Facebook, the different ads, the different testing that I've been doing, because we do test different types of lead generation, whether it's just a comment on the page, message the page, or whether it's a physical, you have to fill in an online form or give us a call or whatever it is. Yeah, man, so I'll give you an update next week, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into the ads that I run. All right, guys, that's episode 2 done on the road to a 500K club. And I look forward to filling you in next week with more exciting news.